So you talked about the challenges, the roller coaster. What do you say would be maybe the top three biggest challenges to grow your business to this point?
For Funnelytics specifically or in general?
Well, let's say with Funnelytics.
So Funnelytics specifically, because it's a software play and because it's an analytics product, there's a few things that are extremely important. Number one, like you said, data accuracy, making sure that data accuracy is very on point. Number two is because we are not trying to go enterprise, ease of setup is also extremely important. Very challenging for an analytics product to make setup simple, especially the way that we do analytics. But still, that is something that we need to really double down on. Number three is finding product market fit has always been a huge challenge, a huge learning curve. One of the things we did at the beginning of Funnelytics was we gave away our mapping tool for free. So we basically said, hey, you can come in and you can actually map your strategies onto this canvas. And once you're ready for analytics, then you're going to go and upgrade. That did two things for us. One good, one bad. The good is that it allowed us to really grow through word of mouth, through kind of having this tool that everybody talks about or uses in their videos and stuff like this. It to the point where, over 8,000 businesses sign up a month organically to Funnelytics at the time of recording this. And they do so in a wide range of industries and sizes and all that stuff. From your single, Shopify store that I'm just getting started because I want to map out, some flows and some ideas, to the VP of growth at Microsoft. And in terms of industries ranging from like churches and religion institutions to like trucking companies and everything in between, right? So you're like, okay, this massive net of people who want to use this mapping tool to kind of map these journeys. But then the issue then becomes, well, what is the paid product for who out of that massive group of people? So for us, that's been a huge challenge, is just refining who are we really in the market of serving, and how do we make sure we build a product that serves their needs as much as possible.
Yeah. So that's actually my thing, let's just say, is product market fit. I run a startup accelerator that's all focused around product market fit. In fact, I wrote my first book, which is right here, called Build the Right Things, is a book on product market fit. And the first chapter is called Find Your Tribe. Right. Now that I wrote the book a while ago, now I said, start with who. Don't start with why, start with who. So that question is, who am I actually trying to help? Not who is this product for, but without a product, without even a problem or any kind of thesis whatsoever, who am I trying to help, is the linchpin, because all of the pivots and all of the decisions are all based on that. And if you go and build a thing and then you try to retrofit it into a tribe or a persona, things get very tricky, because humans are the most bizarrely shaped part of the puzzle, right? Everything else is somewhat geometric. Humans are very fuzzy around the edges. So I like to think about product market fit as something that kind of grows organically within the shape of the customer, as opposed to cramming the square peg in the round hole and whatever. It's like some sort of, bizarre abstract squiggle that is a customer profile. And we have to, again, grow that organically. And there's so many different facets to it. So I'm not surprised to hear that was, one of the biggest challenges you faced. I also love the fact that you took the product-led growth approach and did it the right way. I'd like to say, I think a lot of people mess up or misunderstand what product-led growth really means. They just think, oh, well, that means freemium, right? Yeah. And that's, there's an old model for freemium that okay, I guess kind of works in some cases. But it really is having a free version of your tool that actually provides value, and its purpose is growth. Its purpose is referrals and word of mouth, to try to get people in. And then of course, love your tool and then want more of it. And then the natural path is to upgrade. So I guess a couple of follow-up questions here. One is, how did you discover your ideal customer profile? And then two, I guess maybe we'll get into, is kind of lessons learned around doing PLG the right way. But let's start with that. How did you find your ICP?
Through a lot of trial and error and through a lot of customer discoveries and trying to understand customer needs and also tying it back to our vision of what we're trying to do with our product. Fundamentally, where are we headed with this product from a vision standpoint? And then who does that serve the best? And who do we speak to as well? So at the very beginning, like I said, because I built it for me, I really was attracting me, which is a small agency owner who basically sees the problem that I saw, which is, how do I use this to close and retain clients, right? And that was kind of the fundamental angle. But then we started realizing that, on the analytics side, though, most of these small agencies aren't there. Yes, they're reporting back to clients something, but they're not necessarily there when it comes to analyzing data or looking at performance, et cetera. There are some that are very specialized in this, but most aren't. And then as we started looking at where our vision is and what do we want this product to allow you to do, then we started realizing, okay, so it's more on the performance marketer, less so about just any agency who does funnels, right? Okay. So based on that, we started realizing, okay, well, there's two types of performance marketers, and performance marketer is a broad term, but let's call it performance focused or performance driven marketers who look at the entire strategy of turning a visitor to a customer, right? That entire kind of ecosystem.
Which, to be fair, is what all marketing agencies should be doing.
Which they are not. Most marketing agencies do not. I agree. This is what every marketing agency should be focused on. It's something we try to teach people. But many of them are funnel builders. Many of them are social media. Many of them just stay inside of the advertising. They stay in Google or Meta ads and they don't look at anything else, right? So
turning advertising into customers, for all you marketing people out there, is your freaking job.
It is your job. It is your job. You need to be thinking about how do you, or at very minimum, turn it into sales qualified leads if you're going to pass it over to an actual sales team. So you need to fully understand what that is and how to measure it and how to optimize that. Many people don't, right? Most agencies truthfully don't. So we started really narrowing down on that. And then we started realizing, okay, so fundamentally what we want with this platform is to be a performance tool to help people better understand their data in this visual way. Fortunately, we're attracting a lot of people strictly because of the visual aspect, not because of the performance aspect, because that's our freemium tool. So there's this big gap that we've got to find a way to bridge between mapping a strategy to then actually tracking it and looking at the data and analyzing performance and all that stuff. So if we look at who's using our tool, we've got basically two core sets of people. We've got bigger businesses who have a lot of traffic, who are spending a bunch of money on advertising, who have that performance marketer in their team. And that person is there to figure out, how do I look at the entire strategy as a whole? And then on the other side, we have agencies who do performance marketing for these types of businesses, right? Who don't have that performance marketer. So now as we started kind of, looking at this, we had to kind of keep narrowing it down. We said, okay, well, do we want to go after the performance marketer who's in-house, or do we want to go for the agency who focuses on performance marketing? because both have very different buying cycles, both have very different processes, and the performance marketer in-house isn't a decision maker. Most likely it's somebody who's going to have to come in and decide whether or not this is the platform, versus typically the agency. They're small enough that the agency owner will say, yes, we want to adopt this kind of tool, etc. We also started looking at, well, what about adoption and stickiness? So when we look at performance marketers in-house, the product lives and stays with the marketer. Nobody else on the team cares. So it's one person, as opposed to, let's say, a HubSpot, where this is a fundamental software that leads come in and we can't cancel HubSpot. Otherwise we will not have leads, or we won't be able to send emails. With Funnelytics, because it's an analytics tool, there's an operator of the platform. So if somebody leaves the company, typically the tool goes with them, and whoever comes back is going to use their own set of tools or whatever it is. And we haven't figured out how to basically make Funnelytics sticky in the company when it came to performance marketers in-house in teams. On the agency side, though, it became a central part of their operation, meaning they use it to sell clients. They use it to go and actually report back to clients. And it becomes a central part of how they operate their business. So as we started looking at this, we started realizing, okay, we have a stickier product for agencies if we can get them to adopt it and they're the right types of agencies, versus going after performance. So it's just this constant iteration of who, what, why, how, where, and just refining to the point now where we know that if we can get performance-driven agencies who still want to use our mapping tool as a sales tool, as a visualization communication tool, but fundamentally are in the business of getting results for clients, that is who we really, out of this big wide net, need to really hone in on to kind of get that product market fit and that stickiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like what you had to do was you had to take that square peg and you had to shave off all the little nooks and crannies to make it fit that perfectly marketing agency shaped hole.
To some degree, I had to do that. To some degree, I also had to drop my ego a lot and basically say we can't try to do for everybody. And even though this vision of what this tool can do does fit every performance marketing team and all of that stuff, we had to get real with that a lot. That's probably the hardest part, I think, to be honest, is just having this mindset around, man, I'm going to lose opportunities by not saying yes to this person.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a big one. That is a huge one that this is sort of the two in the hand, right? One in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? So a lot of founders try to go after a broad market because they think, well, it's bigger, right? And bigger is better because we want more money. But they end up missing their ideal customer profile. So I do this exercise with my clients. I call it the anti-ICP or the bizarro ICP, or depending on what, whether you're in the Marvel or the DC universe. But this idea is like there is a profile that looks kind of like your ideal client profile, but they're toxic. They're poisonous to your business because they drain resources and they don't provide that return. They either complain too much or it's just not a good fit. They don't stay, they churn higher. And I force all of my clients to say, as you are identifying who your ICP is, you also have to identify your anti-ICP that looks similar, close enough, you have a hard time saying no to, but they're not for you, or they're not, they're taking your focus away. So that anti-ICP, what does that look like for you? What is a persona that you have to stay away from?
Oh man, we've got a lot, because again,
That's good.
The issue with having this free mapping tool, again, it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that a lot of people sign up and great source of leads. The curse is that 99% of them aren't a good fit for what we're trying to do with our performance tool and who we're trying to serve and all that. So one of the biggest things is, let's call it agencies, who are not fundamentally performance driven, right? So like a social media agency, a branding agency, where they really are there but then they love the idea of, well, I kind of want to think about being data driven as a business. And now it's more of an education process of how do you become data driven, as opposed to, I'm already data driven. We're already reporting using Google Analytics and these other tools. That's a nightmare. So we'd rather use Funnelytics. So that's a very simple example of an agency that we don't really want to work with, because that gap is huge to get them to be data driven, performance driven. So,
Nice.
Simple, small, solo businesses, entrepreneurs, are not a good fit for us. Like, where the actual entrepreneur himself is the one who's mapping their marketing, call it the ClickFunnels crowd or whatever. Basically, I love Russell Brunson. I love as a whole. But
it's okay. He's probably not listening.
So, but if you are, Russell,
how's it going?
Yeah. Hello. But just that individual who's just started to learn marketing, and he's like, I'm the CEO, I'm the offer creator, I'm the person who's trying to get my funnel up and make that $1 million, but they don't have, they're not a marketer. They're not that person who looks at data and tries to optimize and thinks about strategy and all that stuff. And they're just playing that role, in the short term to figure it out. Right. So those are not a good fit either.
So let's talk about product-led growth for a second. Do you have any kind of principles or lessons learned that makes your product-led growth model effective for the ICP that you're looking at?
So I think fundamentally is solving. One of the things that I think we have to always remind ourselves is every business, every persona has an ideal outcome. And I think one of the things we kind of forget is we talk a lot about features, we talk a lot about benefits, but we don't ever talk about outcome. And if you don't understand those three components and how they fit together, and then how your tool gets somebody to that outcome, then product-led growth becomes challenging, because the way that product-led growth works is that it is solving a piece of that outcome. So for example, with us, when we think about our ideal persona, they're not using the mapping tool for, let's say, just mapping their own strategy as an example, or just trying to map a strategy. They're fundamentally using it to close more clients, as a sales tool. And I think understanding that for that group of people, the mapping tool equals a sales tool, a presentation tool, as opposed to, let's say, the person who's starting their Shopify store tomorrow, and they're using it as a way to dump their idea down and, just map out their ideas. Fundamentally, those are two separate outcomes, right? And what we started to realize is if we can start to gear our product to solve the outcome for agencies, which is they are looking to close clients and retain clients. Fundamentally, that's all they care about. They care about the data because it's going to help them retain clients. They care about the mapping tool because it's going to help them make their pitch easier and close clients. All of the features that we've built, all of the benefits of those things, have to tie back to this. So when we look at our ascension process or our product-led growth process, The mapping tool is an entry point for you to use our tool to close clients. Now, we still want you to be a performance-driven agency. We still want you to fundamentally map customer journeys. That's why everything in our tool is there to help you map customer journeys. It's not there to, like Miro, where you can map anything you want. It's not a free-flowing. You have specific icons that represent specific touch points. So great. You come in, you use our mapping tool, and we give you a whole bunch of resources and steps and tutorials on how to use this mapping tool to close clients. Then you get value out of using that mapping tool to close clients. Then we kind of try to ascend you and say, but like now, in order to retain clients, it's about data. So we still haven't fully dialed it in, to be completely honest. Like we still haven't figured out the best way to create that bridge and that gap. To bridge that gap. But fundamentally, that is how our product-led growth strategy works right now.
So I love this answer. Every single client that I coach and everyone who joins my startup accelerator, I ask them this question is, what is your definition of product market fit? And they all give me, maybe some similar answers, a lot of differences, but you're the first person I've asked that talks about the outcomes that the customers are trying to deliver. And so I actually have this model for product market fit, and there's actually 10 different variables. And I've created this scorecard, this product market fit scorecard. And the most important variable out of all of them is the outcomes, because nothing else is worth anything. If I understand the customer and I'm really great at messaging and I'm really great at marketing on different channels and I price it really competitively and I really understand their pain points and I've built a really great solution, but it doesn't help them actually achieve the outcome that they're trying to achieve, the whole thing is useless and your churn is going to be incredibly high. On the other hand, if I have something that is incredibly low tech and clunky and, the messaging is really kind of just wonky and I'm not really efficient on these channels, but it really helps them solve the problem and achieve their desired outcomes, they will suffer through everything else because it helps them really accomplish that goal. So the mantra that I use is, everyone says, don't sell features, sell benefits. And I say, don't sell benefits, sell them their ideal future. That's really what we're trying to accomplish here. I love that you gave that answer.
I fully agree. I think one of the easiest ways to understand this, and I was talking to a friend of mine, kind of walking him through this example, is let's talk about weight loss as an example, because I think it's something that everybody understands. So my outcome and the goal is I want to lose 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. That goal is tangible, right? Like everybody understands what that means. And I think the biggest thing that most businesses fail is they fail to be able to convey the outcome in a tangible manner. What is it that this is actually going to do for me? I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Okay. That is the outcome. Now, let's talk about the benefits first. The benefits of losing 30 pounds is very, very dependent on who is your ideal profile. Mm-hmm. If I'm talking to a woman who is about to get married and she wants to fit in her wedding dress, losing 30 pounds means being, the best she can look on her wedding dress, right? If I talk to somebody who's, overweight and been diagnosed with diabetes and they need to lose 30 pounds for fundamental, health reasons, that is the benefit of losing 30 pounds. And when we think about this, we also have to take that losing 30 pounds and ask yourself, well, if this is the outcome, these are the benefits, then there's a set of features that are going to enable me losing 30 pounds. I think a lot of people forget that their features by themselves are useless. Mm-hmm. So here's a feature of losing 30 pounds, custom meal plan. Here's another feature, personal training. Here's another feature, gym equipment. Mm-hmm. All of these things are by themselves a feature that is packaged together in order for me to be able to lose 30 pounds. If I just have one of them by themselves, I'm not losing 30 pounds. Nothing's going to happen. If I just have cut the meal plan, but don't prep the meals, don't buy the groceries, don't do whatever, I just have a sheet that says this is what I should eat, I'm certainly not losing 30 pounds. If I have a personal trainer coming in, but no equipment, nothing happens. Cool. This person gets sending me messages saying, have you worked out yet? Like, no, nothing's going to happen. So you've got to package your features in a way that makes it almost irresistible or let's call it almost guaranteed that if you package these features together, you will achieve this outcome, which is losing 30 pounds. Then the reason you want to lose 30 pounds, which is the fit that we need to touch on, is because fundamentally you want to get rid of your diabetes or whatever, be healthier or whatever it is. So I like to kind of look at it in this cycle. And then if you don't understand your ideal customer, then one of those pieces, you may know your features. You may know that it helps you optimize your marketing. What? For what? For who? What is that? Is that useful for an agency versus a bigger business versus whoever, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going through all of those things right now. I'm more focused on fitness than on weight loss, but the kind of package that works for somebody like me is different from, say, a college student, right? Like, I have more money than time. And so I'm happy to hire a personal trainer and pay for the meal plan and buy all the equipment because I need to be able to be incredibly efficient, right? Versus somebody maybe who has less money and more time. And there might be something like body weight exercises and group programs that are a little bit more affordable and easy recipe cards and that sort of thing, right? So really truly understanding your ICP allows you to even package it in a right way so that it creates not only the outcome, but like with the leverage that they have, right?
Totally.
Money, time, whatever it might be. Okay. So I want to shift gears a little bit and just sort of ask one final question, not necessarily a short one, but I always like to kind of round this out and talk about leadership. So, you're an entrepreneur, you've built multiple companies, you're leading people on your team. What are your fundamental leadership principles?
So fundamentally, I like to find people that can do stuff that are better than me and that they can fit in a piece so I can kind of get out of their way. That is one of the best, in my opinion, uses of my time is if I can go and say, look, you're better at me than in sales. I'm going to give you kind of free reign. I'm going to give you and show you like, these are our parameters. This is what we want to hit in terms of our goals and stuff. But, the reason I brought you on board is because I want you to drive this thing. I don't want to be a driver where then I now need to teach you how to drive. And then eventually you're going to get your license and you'll be able to drive. So I like to make sure that I bring in the right people in that mindset. And then the other thing is we work very much based on goals and projects. And so we have a very clear cadence around, focusing on 90-day sprints. So quarterly, and then looking at our monthly meetings and then looking at our weekly kind of KPIs and then understanding our daily activities. Once that fundamental kind of cadence is set, and we've had this, for our entire business, then it's just a matter of go and do what we've agreed that we all make sense, right? So I'm handling this, you handle this, and then we just, every week we look at our KPIs and we look at where we stand on these projects. But I like to kind of give people free reign in that way, mostly because I'm pretty lazy and I have no desire to micromanage people. It's too much work, too much effort. And I'd rather just find the right people who can join. So
build a really strong team, align on the outcomes, track the performance, and then let them
do their thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. That's awesome. Well, any other thoughts or wisdom you'd like to share with our audience, folks that are, startup founders and tech folks that are coming up, entrepreneurs that, following in your footsteps?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk for hours, I'm sure, about all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is building a business is not easy. It's not easy finding product market fit. It's not easy scaling. It's not easy finding the right team. It's not easy. Nothing about it is easy. However, it is simple. There is a formula to this. There are people like you who can tell you how to find product market fit. So finding product market fit has a formula. It's simple, but it is not easy. Okay? So don't give up because of the difficulty. Just make sure you find the right people who have the formulas, that they can guide you through the formulas, and can kind of lay that out in a simple way, and then persevere through the difficulties. Like, there's always ups and downs in this game. So
that's literally why my company's called Chaos to Clarity.
There you go.
Because startup founders come to me with the chaos. We make it simple. We use the formula. We make it clear. And I have never met any founder who, when given a clear path and all they have to do is apply effort, that they don't do it and get the job done.
Exactly.
So I want to, like you said, it's not easy, but they will find the energy and they will do it almost effortlessly when they know that they're on the right track and they got the right signal. So,
absolutely. And that's the key, right? That roadmap.
Excellent. Well, Mikael, it was a pleasure talking with you today. I was so happy to have you on the show. For folks, any performance-driven marketers out there who want to actually create more conversions and more customers, go to funnelytics.io. Mikael, it was a pleasure having you today.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.